Item D, discussion concerning the zoning administrator salary.
Bill and I are going to interview Wednesday. We got 4 applicants. We're going to set up interviews, interview each one of them. And in our motion earlier, when the suggested salary was $350 per month when we get a regular person. And I think last year it looks like we did about 60, 65 building permits. I'm sure some will take not as long as others, but if they ask that question, we want to make sure what the council is in agreement on what we should continue that price or reduce it, or.
When we sat here, I was kind of mixed up because the one paper said $350 and the other document said $250.
Well, I think Sandy can give us some history on that. It used to be $250, and
it's always it used to be for a long time $300. That would take you back to several zoning officers. Then during the time before Jeff took it over, it did go up to $350. When Jeff did it temporarily, and that's how it was initially set up, temporarily, he said he would do it for $250, provided, you know, he could do some of it, you know, during his normal job. So they did settle for $250. Then they did make it permanent, because he decided he wanted to continue to do it since they had all the new zoning regulations in place. Then when they hired somebody temporarily to take over after he left, it went back to what it was prior to Jeff taking it over, which was the $350. That's where the $350 came in. And just so, I'm sorry if I misunderstood what you just said, you know, as far as like the permits, how many permits they do. I'll make sure you get a job description so you know exactly, because they do a lot more than just the permits, just so that person is aware. That's the people that have to do what you might call the unpleasant work, as far as to notify people. Yeah, so it involves a lot of possibly writing letters, visits, to have them take care of dangerous structures, court time.
What's the availability to this person or persons if it's somebody that is a city employee already? I mean, do they do it on city time?
That, I guess, is an agreement. That something has to be discussed when they interview them, one way or another, or whether they are going to allow it or not allow it.
And that brings up the next question. If they're scheduled to get off work at 4:30 in the afternoon, does that mean this will not be carried out because they're off work?
I would say in most cases, no.
Okay.
That, you know, that probably the majority. The gentleman that's filling in right now temporarily does it all on his own time outside of the office.
Okay.
So, you know, as far as that I cannot tell you has always been the case, but that is how he is currently operating right now.
Okay.
Not that there's a lot of building going on right now, but he has had to give a couple notices of things that needed to be taken care of. So that is how he is perceiving what his duties are outside of his normal day. And that you'll probably find with anybody that possibly might have another job, that they'll have to do it outside of their other job, whatever it happens to be.
Also, it was suggested that we have somebody that's been on the Planning and Zoning Committee for quite some time sit in on these interviews, and Sandra contacted Jerry Ewell, and he has agreed to come and sit in on the interviews.
Sandy, do you have any idea about how many hours on an average week or month that a person would spend at this? Do you have any feel for that, or is it?
No. I would say a lot of it depends on how active they want to be in pursuing violations. You know, I don't think your permits are the thing that takes the time, per se. I think it's, you know, how much you want to stay up with, you know, your violations. If you want to be real active in making sure that houses houses, buildings, structures meet your codes, it's probably going to involve a lot more time.
See, Bill, it requires them driving through the community quite a bit too, just to see what's going on and see who has permits and who doesn't.
Right, making sure somebody's not putting something
Exactly.
up without having a permit.
That's where a lot of time is put in, just being able to do that.
So it's kind of one of those jobs that, you know, if you have somebody that doesn't want to put in a lot of time, they might not put in a lot of time. And a lot of that also would be the directive from the P&Z committee. You know, if your P&Z committee wants to be real active in taking care of some areas and making sure things are cleaned up, building permits, you know, you can't control one way or another. That's either happening or not. But as far as that other part of the job, you know.
Could we propose a salary and reevaluate after 6 months? Is that something we could do? As far as the salary, say if we elected to do, the question I guess right now, I'm assuming, is it between $250 and $350, is we're trying to agree on, right? Am I out of line, or am I right?
I think that's why we're asking you guys for
I say, obviously $250. That's what I'm saying, $250 right now, simply because, okay, we're looking at who the person may be an applicant, okay? You have 4 applicants right now, reevaluated after 6 months to know how it is. I mean, we're obviously going,
keep track of hours.
keep track, yeah, in that time frame, keep track of the hours and see if that's right. Even if it's 6 months is too long, 3 months reevaluate. I mean, you want to meet somewhere in the middle?
But you got to remember, you're going into the 6 months of the toughest time.
That's
Because
very
it's
true,
all
too.
construction permits. The winter time there aren't.
This is based pretty much on a salary, it's not on an hourly basis.
That's what I was going to say.
Because, I mean, some weeks they may spend 10 hours, some weeks they may spend 20.
Right.
You know, so, you know, I'd be for going mid-range at 300.
300?
You know, to start out and then reevaluate after 6 months.
I'm fine.
That'd be fine.
But maybe they won't do it for 300.
I don't know. Anybody else?
That's
We
fine.
we were thinking, what, 250 or?
Well, we're in the ballpark, yeah, we was kind of, that's why we're asking for your support or your...
I mean, the spring's going to be a tough time, that's when
Yeah.
everybody gets their building permits.
Exactly. And when
I
they
don't want
ask what
somebody
the
to say,
salary
I'm doing
is,
this for 250.
You have something to tell them.
we have got something to tell them.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, you know, just to kind of give you a little more background, why it probably went to 300 to 350, and probably why we've gone through several zoning officers, or maybe couldn't find a zoning officer, is they have to take heed.
We've assisted several.
Yeah, and John
we've had to go
probably-
with them several
right.
times
And John,
while they
thank
want to talk to people.
You
It's
can,
It's
oh
not,
it's
yeah.
a job.
It's not
You
a fun job.
I mean, I wouldn't want, it's almost worse than my job. I mean, you're constantly, you know, I've never even thought of it. I have enough headache.
Right.
You know, you take a lot of heat with that job on stuff, you know. Somebody builds a deck, you gotta go tell them to tear it down after they spent, you know.
You're not real popular with some of the things you have to do.
$300 a month. And I'm trying to
And I think, I mean, yeah, I think it's,
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna take a police to go with you to go talk to some of these people, obviously.
You're gonna send me through the academy for that?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
You know, you've still got to pass the
Yeah,
academy, do you?
I don't know if I can do that. I think between the 5 of us, we can come up and agree on something.
Well, should we ask for something, Bill, or do you want to, should we? That should be a council decision on salary. I don't think us, Bill and I should set it.
Right.
Don't you, Bill?
I agree. So see where they're coming from. Tell them what the range you're looking at, 2.5 to 3.5, and say, what do you think's fair? I mean, you start off with, because it's going to take some time and training before they're really on board, because there's a lot of stuff to remember. I mean, it's just not, it's not easy.
Could I have a recommendation, please?
I'll recommend 300.
Would that be within a review then, or
Review after 6 months.
6 months, and review it to 350? Is
Well, just leave it at 300.
Leave it at
and
300, and
negotiate.
we'll negotiate anything after that.
It might go down, might go up.
And review it 3 or 6 months?
Let's go 6 is, and it could be every 6 months.
I think that'd be fair.